back and welcome to my September wrap-up. I knew that September was going to be a little bit of a kind of slow month. I didn't get to everything I wanted to on my TBR, and I left the audiobook portion of my TBR very much like whatever I kind of get to, whatever I can, because I knew that I was going to be traveling. I was back in the UK for 10 days, which involves like hours and hours of flights. So I didn't know, I never know when I'm getting on a plane whether I'm going to do 10 hours of reading or 10 hours of movie watching / sleeping, just because I get really travel sick. So I never know how I'm going to feel, or whether those travel sickness tablets are going to send me to sleep, or whether in this case they're going to send the top half of my body to sleep but not the bottom half of my body, so I can't actually sleep. That was fun. As always, I will break these down into ebooks, physical books and audiobooks, and I have posted reviews of quite a few of these on my blog, which is always linked below, and I've made a couple of videos about these on IGTV as well, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. That's always linked below too. So in terms of my trusty Kindle, which predominantly I read on whilst I'm traveling, I don't tend to take a lot of physical books away with me, so it tends to be ebook and audiobook whilst traveling. So I thought it was going to be quite audio and ebook heavy this month. Didn't turn out that way, but hey. So I read The Helpline by Catherine Collette, which is coming out next year, I believe, so you can hear more thoughts on that one when it is out next year. Then I read The Rise and Fall of Becky Sharp by Sarah Manning. She has a double R, so I'm never sure. This one was fabulous, and I do have a review of this one on my blog. It's a retelling of Vanity Fair. I've not read Vanity Fair. I think I might have seen the film once, so I don't really know how to compare it. And this one, if you just want something funny that's got a strong sort of feminist message and also talks about the pitfalls of social media, then you will definitely like this one. Then I read Dinner Party by Tracy Bloom, which is a bit like... it's got a similar structure to Big Little Lies, but with less of the kind of murder and mystery around it. It deals a lot with a love of dips, and it deals a lot with long-term friendship and being friends with people who are married for a long time as well. It was very, very funny. Reminded me a little bit of the Sunday Lunch Club, and as I say, a little bit of Big Little Lies, so it's like the two of them meet. And again, I have a review of this one on my blog, so go and check that out if you want to know more of my thoughts on that one. And then the only other book I completed on my Kindle this month was Disconnected, which is actually out today. It is a collection of poems and short stories by various amazing contemporary poets, including poets I've talked about on here: Cyrus Parker, Amanda Lovelace, Nikita Gill, and poets that I saw at the contemporary poetry panel at BookCon. So it was cool to read some of the ones that I hadn't read before. So basically each of them were asked to submit 3 poems, and those poems were then given to somebody else from the group that was picked at random. They picked one of the poems and wrote a short story based on that poem, so it's really interesting seeing the way the poem is connected to the short story, and whether they've picked out some key words or some key themes, and there's a couple of them where they've left an author note for why they made X, Y and Z choice in the short story based on the poem. So that was really interesting, and like I say, a chance to sample some poets that I have not read before, and also see short stories rather than just poems from these writers, which was great. And that is out today, and I do have a review of it on my blog as well. I believe it's out today everywhere. If not, I'll leave in the description box the dates that it's out, but the copy that I had definitely said 1st of October, which is today. Then that's it. I did start another one on my Kindle, but I did not finish it, so it is now on my October TBR. I thought I was going to finish it, and I read a big chunk of it just whilst being on the tube in London, but I didn't end up finishing it because on my flight back I just ended up watching films, so that was the choice I made. Then physical books. Let's get on with some physical books. I buddy read Heretics Anonymous with beautifully bookish Bethany. I will leave her channel linked. We buddy read this and we ended up reading it over basically like a day and a half. We really enjoyed this one. I do have a review of it on my blog, and we are hoping to make a video about it soon when we both have the time to actually coordinate our video discussion. So I'm not going to say any more about this one, except that we really loved it. That's why we read it in a day and a half together. Then I have Fierce Fairy Tales, and Other Stories to Stir Your Soul by Nikita Gill. I made a whole IGTV video talking about this one, so go and check that out on Instagram and you can see my thoughts on there. But it's just a beautiful book, and it not only has beautiful poems and stories in, but it also has beautiful illustrations. Let me show you one of them. How amazing is that? That would make a great tattoo, wouldn't it? Just saying. Then my reread this month, which I am going to make a video talking about. I mentioned this in my book haul and how I was going to reread it and hopefully make a video talking about it, and I sort of asked whether you wanted to see that on IGTV or whether you want to see that on here. A couple of people mentioned that they want to see it on here, so may make the video talking about it straight after this. I reread Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume, because I got this beautiful copy that matches my hair, and I reread this in one sitting, and I have some thoughts, so you can expect a video coming up soon on this one. Generally they're very positive thoughts, but just general thoughts to share with you. Then I read my wonderful copy from Quirk Books of Girls Resist, a guide to activism, leadership and starting a revolution. And this really is what it says on the tin. It gives you practical ideas on how to resist and how to act, and they're not things that are difficult to do. They are things that you can do if you have access to the internet or have access to forming some sort of group at school. They are really practical ideas, and lots of different kind of levels of ideas. So if you're already doing this, try this, or if you haven't already done this, try this. So definitely recommend this one, and I will be definitely passing this on to some girls in my life as well. Thank you to Quirk Books for that one. Then another buddy read, which again hopefully going to have a discussion video up about up soon, and that is There by Tommy Orange. This one is Own Voices Native American, and it reads a little bit like a collection of short stories which have a common theme and have a link. And the tension does build as the book goes on, and we see the stories kind of linking together as the book goes on as well. And then they do all come to quite a, not unexpected, but you don't quite see it coming head, which is very interesting. It was definitely a slow burn. I didn't necessarily like all of the different, I'm going to call them short stories because to me that's how they felt. Yeah, I didn't necessarily like all of them, but when they started to link together and I could see familiar themes and familiar people, I got into this one. So although this one does look like a quick read and is just about, 290 pages, it's not a quick read, even though it looks it. It's quite a thin book, but it's not a quick read. It's definitely something that you have to concentrate and something that you have to think about. Then I read, finally, are you ready? Little Do We Know by Tamara Island Stone. I think I am going to make a whole video talking about this one just because there is a lot that goes on in this book, and it is 400 pages, and it does change after the first 100 pages, and after 300 pages it does kind of become a different book in each of those points. So I want to make a whole video talking about my thoughts. I haven't written my review of this one, even though I read it like 3 days ago, just because I just need to sit with my thoughts, because this book was so much more than I was expecting. So yeah, I think I'm going to make a whole video talking about this one, whether it's on here or on IGTV, I'm not sure. If you have preferences, let me know in comments, and I will make it happen. Then I read, Angry Cookie by Laura Dockrill. I hauled this one in my most recent book haul. It's one that I pre-ordered from Book Depository because I was so excited about reading it. And yeah, this is Angry Cookie, and Angry Cookie is angry because of their roommate, who, as you can see, is playing the recorder. And I was actually able to share this with somebody else, which is amazing. So this is where we're angry because of the recorder. As soon as I heard about this book, I knew I had to own it, which is why I pre-ordered it. And as I say, I was able to share this with somebody who is more appropriately aged for picture books than I am, and it was a great experience to share that with them and to talk about, you know, why the cookie was angry and was that reasonable, and do we sometimes feel angry for unreasonable reasons, which was great. Yeah, highly recommend that one. Definitely go out and get it. You won't have to wait for the pre-order. And there's one other physical book that I read which I don't have here, and that is Christmas by Accident by Cameron Wright. Lovely Bethany got this signed for me at Book Expo, and gave me a copy of this, and I read it whilst I was back in the UK and then passed it on to my mum, which is why I don't have a copy of it. It is about a woman who runs a bookshop, or well, runs her family bookshop, and a guy who's like an insurance claim person and doesn't really believe in Christmas. So you've got this person who loves books and all things Christmas and just the spirit of the season, and this person who really doesn't. And you can imagine what happens when their paths cross, and what goes on with that. The accident in Christmas by Accident does refer to a couple of medical accidents that go on, so those are to be expected. It is not all warm and fuzzy, but I do have a full review of this one on my blog if you want to know more thoughts and feelings on that. And then I think I'm done with the physical books. Yes, on to audiobooks. I listened to Fresh Ink, an anthology, which is super shiny because this is the audio, the library book. I did look back on a couple of these just because I wanted to have this to write my review, which is why I have the library book, but I was given a copy of this for review by Penguin Random House Audio, which was fabulous to listen to, and it's got lots and lots of different narrators as well. So this is 13 award-winning and best-selling authors, 12 label-defying stories, one unforgettable collection. And Random House donates to We Need Diverse Books if you get a copy of this one. So hopefully that works with the library book royalties as well. But yeah, each story is, let's see, that's 11 pages, that's 20 pages, that's 20 pages, between 10 and 20 pages long, so you can see it's not the thickest book in the world. And I do recommend the audio because then you get to hear the story told in the different voices that are represented as well. Yeah, again, I haven't written my review of this one yet, but I will be doing it. But if you are looking for a young adult short story anthology with own voices and diverse characters and diverse storylines, then this is the book for you. I listened to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I thought that the audiobook was fantastic. There was no point where I was confused as to what was happening or couldn't hear the narrator and what have you, which sometimes can be the case with audiobooks, because this one had like a little bit of magic to it and a little bit of almost sci-fi, but not sci-fi enough to put me off. So there's your level meter there. It was still easy to follow on audiobook. I don't have a physical copy of it because tomorrow I'm going to an event with Hank Green. I'm going to get to meet Hank Green. And I'm going to get a signed copy of the book there. So that will obviously feature in this month's book haul. I have a full written review of this one on my blog, which I will link below. And I will probably try and take some video footage at the event and may film a whole review to go with that. So again, let me know in the comments if that's something that you would be interested in, but definitely recommend this one. It has this amazing message of, look what we can achieve when we work together and are kind to one another and just, you know, collaborate, which is always a good thing. Then I listened to the I can't get the you know, when the library covers up the author on both the spine and the front cover. So I listened to The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hong. I think I'm saying that right, or Hoang. I didn't really like it. I did listen to all of it, and I do have the physical copy because I thought maybe it was the audiobook that was putting me off. But no, to me, it was very much insta-love, and this was kind of sold as, yeah, a heartwarming, refreshing debut novel that proves one thing: there's not enough data in the world to predict what will make your heart tick. So Stella, our main female lead, is on the spectrum, on the autistic spectrum, and I thought that it was going to be a sort of contemporary romance, rom-com about her and about dating whilst being on the spectrum. But I would say that this novel verges more onto erotica than kind of romance or contemporary rom-com, which is what I thought it was being sold as. It's very much sort of insta-love here. There are problems created for the characters that kind of didn't feel like problems to me. I do know that it is a debut, and so I went into it with my this is a debut mind on. But I started listening to this with my mum, and we ended up kind of stopping because neither of us were really enjoying it that much, and we ended up listening to something else. So yeah, I was just a little bit disappointed. We went straight into, oh, these two characters meet and now they're having all this mind-blowing sex, and then into, oh, there's this problem here which we're not really sure why it's a problem, and now we're back to having all the sex again. I didn't really kind of get the romance. I didn't get the this is what it's like dating when you're on the spectrum, which I was expecting. It is own voices, and it does deal with, you know, diverse characters as well, which is a good thing, but the storyline for me just kind of fell short, and I don't really, it's not memorable, and it's not what I wanted it to be as well as what I expected it to be. So a bit of negativity there. Then I listened to, again, I have the physical copy because I wanted to kind of check back some things and reference some things, and I still haven't written my review of this one because this book affected me. I mean, it is a long novel. It is 450 pages, and that is Anger is a Gift by Mark Oshiro. So it's covered up here, so we'll have to look on here. Thankfully, it's higher up than down here. And this one, again, has diverse characters, and it's one of those novels where you have the diverse characters, but the diverse characters don't feel like they're there just to be diverse characters. It feels like it works and it's natural and it fits. This book deals with ingrained racism. It deals with police and media attention on different diverse groups of society and treatment of those groups. it deals with violence, and violence towards not just one generation in society, but multi-generations of the same ethnic group. It deals, yeah, the ingrained racism is what really got to me. It's not a cheerful novel, it is, but it feels like an important book, and I didn't binge read it because it just felt so difficult to finish. When I got to kind of everything coming to a head and everything culminating towards the end of the novel, I really struggled to keep listening to it, which is why I got the physical copy, because I thought it might be easier to read as a physical copy. It was not. And because I'd started listening with the one voice, I kind of wanted to finish with that voice in my head for the rest of the novel. But yeah, I found it a struggle to finish, but I was never not going to finish it, and I needed to find out what happened. And there is, again, there's a message of, you know, what we can achieve when we stick together, and the importance of friends and family, especially when there is such ingrained racism in society. And it did make me feel a little bit guilty for being white. But then I seem to have read quite a few novels like that recently, or have that on my TBR. And so I do find that I need to come away from a book like this and just read something or listen to something with a bit more of a positive message. But I would never not read this, and I would never have not finished reading this. But yeah, it's tough going, but in a really entertaining, well-written way, which sounds like an oxymoron, I know, but I really recommend it, and I really liked it, but I still haven't reviewed it yet just because it was so difficult. Yeah, but yeah, very good read. Definitely a good read, but tough to finish. Then I listened to another one which was difficult to listen to at points. I listened to Not That Bad by Roxane Gay. This is the CD audiobook from the library, and this is Dispatches from Rape Culture. This is edited and introduced by Roxane Gay, but with lots of memoirs, essays, short pieces from people from their different experiences of rape and sexual assault and unwanted sexual attention. And yeah, very much timely and very well written and very interesting to listen to. Again, it's got lots of different perspectives coming at it from lots of different angles. So we have women in here, we have older women, we have younger women, we have black women, white women, Asian women, immigrant women, we have transgender people, we have men, we have the whole, anybody. And the message is that, yeah, anybody can be a victim and anybody can be a survivor. And the theme of Not That Bad is, well, this happened to me, but at least I'm alive, so it's not that bad. Or this happened to me, but at least I didn't get pregnant, so it's not that bad. Or this almost happened to me, so it's not that bad. But we need to take away that message of it's not that bad. You know, sexual assault is sexual assault in any shape or form, and we are seeing that right now in the media a lot, so I don't need to tell you. But yeah, again, it was a difficult listen, but it was really interesting and eye-opening, and again, quite important. And anything that kind of Roxane Gay puts out, I will buy and borrow and listen to and read and what have you, because I think the collections that she puts together are fantastic. And yeah, I like, if you don't follow her on Twitter, follow her on Twitter, because her tweets are inspiring. Then the final audiobook I listened to was A Simple Favour by Darcy Bell, which has been made into a movie. This is why I listened to it, so that I could go and see the movie and film a book versus movie video for you, which I will link up here if you haven't already seen it. I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was a good book. I really enjoyed the film as well, so if it is still playing in cinemas near you, definitely go and check it out. The audiobook had 3 different narrators. One of the narrators, the person who narrates the character of Emily, was really difficult to listen to. So if you are going to read the book first or afterwards, I would recommend doing a physical or an e-copy, just because the narrator for Emily was really difficult to hear. Maybe it would have been better if I was listening in headphones and not listening in the car, but that's the way I listen to my audiobooks, and I haven't had any problems with other audiobooks this month. But Emily, oh, yeah, it was difficult. It was really difficult, and she narrated the ending of the book, so it was really difficult to listen to the ending and find out exactly what happened at the end. But anyway, that's my September wrap-up, which I didn't think was going to be a lot of books, and which has ended up being 25 minutes long. As I say, let me know your thoughts on whether you would like YouTube videos or IGTV videos for those ones you've mentioned. I have alluded to a couple of videos I've got coming up soon as well, so make sure you're subscribed so that those land in your subscription feed. And if you have made it this far, let me know which was your favourite book that you read in the month of September. I don't know which I would pick as my favourite. Possibly the Sarah Manning. I really enjoyed that one. But then, I mean, Angry Cookie, you knew was going to be awesome. And also Little Do We Know surprised me. But yes, I will be back on Wednesday with my October TBR, and I will also be back with my Judy Bloom video and my Hank Green vlog and review as well. So yeah, as I say, make sure you subscribe for those. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, or just if you made it this far, show it the love. If you've made it all through now 26 minutes, definitely show it the love. And I will see you with my October TBR on Wednesday. Bye.